Perfect.
So, Raghava, could you please introduce yourself and let us know what you're doing, to make it simple?
That's an existential question. But I'm Raghava. I'm an artist, and I love to shake things up and present different points of view on life.
Okay, this sounds to be very complex. Can you specify a little bit?
Sure.
You're a visual artist mostly. Would you say you're a visual artist?
I'm a visual artist. I was a cartoonist, and then I started painting, and now I use technology and create digital artwork as well.
Yeah, but so your main thing is not just drawing a cartoon and draw it maybe digital. No, your main thing is really to give to provide different perspectives, or the possibilities of different perspectives, or
Yeah, I just believe that I'm trying to open up my artwork and invite a couple of biases and just change my work. I want my work to come to life a little more.
and so how do you do that? What give us an example?
So one of the ways I did that earlier was that I had different points of view. I used to create artwork for the iPad, and every time you shake the iPad, it gave you a different point of view. But the problem was these points of view were very static. They didn't change. So now what I'm doing is I'm using brain waves. I'm using EEG headsets, where you look at my painting and you wear this headset, and based on how you think about my painting, the painting changes.
Okay.
So the artwork digitally changes.
Okay, we'll come back to that a little later. Raghava,
Yes.
you are from India, but you've been living in the United States for quite a while now.
Yes,
You go back and forth.
true.
You have the advantage of different perspectives. India today, how do you see, is a larger we in India possible or developing, or how do you see India today?
I think India is the perfect example of a we philosophy, because I think that India is a collection of people who have nothing in common except their humanity, except their diversity, except the we-ness of people. So in one sense, I think, you don't have ideology, you don't have religion, you don't have language that connects people. It is purely the sense that you belong together. So I think that India is perfect in that we believe in diversity, and we are a nation of diversity.
But I mean, there is this one, let's say, many traditional we's that go in one direction. Then there is the modern we's that goes in another direction. How can this function? How can this work? How will it work in the future? Or will it implode, explode, or find a equilibrium? Or how do you see that whole
See, it's
thing?
a very interesting question, because when you talk of we, you talk of a certain connection that we all have that's in common, and that's a narrative, a story that emerges from all of us. And what's interesting about India is Mahatma Gandhi was one of the few people who could create this story of ahimsa, of oneness against the British, and but that was 60 years ago, more than 50 years ago. So what is the next narrative that will emerge from this impossible country, India? And that's a very good question. And what was
So what will emerge from that impossible country?
so far, I don't know what will emerge, and I'm really curious to know what the next narrative is going to be. It's not going to be technology, because I think we thought it could be technology, because India became known as the outsourcing capital of the world, and I think that's too limited a scope. India is capable of a far more creative narrative, and I'm curious to know what that's going to look like. But I think it's going to have to do with youth, because we have the largest population of young people in the world.
So yeah, you have 50% of India's population is below 25, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
So we have like 600 million people below 25.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's the potential? What do you want to do with them? What should be done, or should be done nothing? They should just become something?
See, my point is, we don't even know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. Who are we to decide what's going to happen to 600 million people? I think what we need to do is have a dialogue and listen, because this story will emerge from them, not from us sitting here and discussing it and creating it and imposing it. I think this is the age of emergence, not the age of authority. So I'm curious to know what's going to come, and I'm just trying to listen, be prepared for it, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, but still you're on a certain mission, aren't you, with your children books and with your artwork? You are on a certain mission, so you are probably one of the persons who is going to tell them what to do or not what to do, or
No.
or they will at least try to listen to you, or you will go there and show them something and try to do something with them. No,
I think what I'm doing is not telling them what to do, but really to create a new platform that really speaks their voice. Because I think old structures of knowledge, of debating, of making things happen are falling apart.
Are they?
I think so.
like even let's say the Indian traditions, like the caste system, or do you think that's falling apart?
I mean, I'm not talking about in India, I'm saying globally.
Oh, okay.
Globally.
Yeah.
And how is India going to respond to this? And the one thing that was so moving was the rape case.
Right.
I mean, normally when someone's raped, you think the youth do anything about it? Today you saw so many people coming out for self-organizing, not waiting for justice, but really spreading the message and making sure such a thing never happens again. And I feel that is indicative that old traditions are breaking in some sense. Young people are taking responsibility. I mean, I'm ashamed to say it, but I was never incentivized to vote in my country because it was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But now these young people may change things around. They're going out there, they're taking responsibility for their country, for their people, for looking after the youth. I mean, I think something new will. Yeah, it's changing for sure.
And you say it's not technology, it's but technology will help to do so, or?
See, technology is only a medium. And I think when we look at change, we can look at both the message and the medium. And I think what is changing is not the message, but really the medium.
But
and
if the medium is the message, what's that?
The medium is only partly the message. It's never always only the message. So I feel like this notion, it will change the way the message is communicated, the way the message is understood. But I think India's diversity is its message. The medium is going to be technology, a global language. So when you talk about caste systems and family marriage and family businesses and arranged marriages, I don't think they will go anywhere.
You think they will go away? That's what
I don't think they'll go anywhere. They'll stay right where they are.
Oh,
but they will evolve. They will change. They will. The message will find a new medium, and it'll find a new way. I think, yeah. I don't think it'll just mimic. I hope it won't just mimic the West, because each system is an ecosystem, and I feel when the medium of communication, of expression changes, the ecosystem will change. Some values will be lost, some will be retained. I have a feeling things just change, they don't go away.
I mean, what we're talking about here is, it's theoretical, but let's talk about some practical aspects of India. I mean, the education system, how do you see it? What is there right now? And I mean, let's do something practical. How would you change it? What would you do? You say you escaped the hardcore scientific system, or you were how did you say it again? Say it.
I said that for me, I escaped the rigor of industrial revolution way of thinking about education, which is become a scientist, an engineer, be useful to society, get a a government job or an IAS officer, or become an engineer in a good company. I think it's going to move to the individual now, for self realization, which is what India was always.
Really?
For me, it's all about the self, and our philosophy teaches that.
Yeah, I mean, I was in India, and for me being a foreign observer, not very long there, but it's really kind of interesting to see the clash between your old scriptures and today's life, So,
Khajuraho is a perfect example, right?
Yeah, there are the old temples with everything, but today's life is kind of harsh, and at least for me, but
you should understand that we were colonized. A new system was just suddenly, literally embossed on the people of India. So for 100 years. So was it 100 or 100 years?
The British came like 18 something.
Yeah, it was 100 years. Yeah,
it's more. It's like 200 years. Or
218.
I will look up the numbers before. Okay.
Yeah.
We cut it out.
I think. Yeah, thanks. I should have looked it up. 200 years, I think. Yeah. So we've been colonized for long enough, and there has to be this. Now when India becomes independent, we have to find those values that are inherent in us, and
were lost. And you think
maybe lost, they evolve. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you're very optimistic, so you think in spite of what the education system and the values are right now, it'll go more to an individual state of mind, and people learn how to be creative and have different perspectives, or accept different biases, as you say.
Yeah, let me just clarify one thing. I don't believe that Maslow's law of needs in any way relates to Indians, or at least to my circumstance, where he says first you need to put food in their belly, give them shelter, then a job, and then perhaps self-realization happens. I think the poorest of poor try and realize themselves too. I mean, I don't believe that you have to go through these phases to even find happiness. We've proven all of that wrong. I think dignity, self-realization, all of those things concern the poorest of poor as well. So it's difficult to say. On one hand you have high-speed internet, at the other you have the poorest of poor, and a Western person will come and say, what the hell's going on? But for us it's not surprising, because you may not have money. It doesn't mean you won't aspire for dignity, or for things beyond basic needs.
Right. I mean,
I don't know if I'm making
I mean, to me, India was a little bit incomprehensible in the way it works. So I see what you say.
For every truism in India, there's an opposite and equal truism.
But again, let's go. Let's say today's India, today's politics. What would you like to change, or what would you like to influence into a certain direction?
That's a very good question.
I mean,
I don't want to be a broken record and talk about corruption, because I know that's definitely something that has to change. But then I'm looking beyond that, and I feel like we're doing pretty well for ourselves. I mean, there's a real sense of happiness when I think of India, because it was, so many of us predicted the death of India years ago. This is the only country in which you have Maoists with fascists, with all kinds of philosophies that live together. So I don't want to impose any one political reform. I think India is doing pretty well.
So you said earlier what you think, what comes out from India is this new, can we say, pluralism?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be under one special direction or whatever.
We all focus on all the things that are wrong about India, and I feel like we're doing pretty darn well for ourselves, considering all the issues we have, all the plurality we are living with. The people, you have people frozen in different periods in time living together.
Right.
So, and the truth is, whatever system that exists is not perfect and definitely needs to be changed. But its imperfection is not what I think of India by. I think of India as this place where opposites, impossibles, can exist. So, I mean, I don't want to change something, I want to learn more from this place.
Okay, that's a very good take on India. I mean, it's refreshing, but I saw it in many Indians. They say, well, everything is actually okay the way it is, you know, and we Westerners go there and say, no, it's not okay. And the Indians say, well, you know, there are some hiccups, but basically it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. The frame of reference, again, matters.
Right.
You know, it's easy for me to sit here. I have a global lifestyle. I'm from the hegemony. I'm from the power class in India. And for me to say everything is okay is easy because I have access to everything. So the truth is I don't know. But the one thing is, what I do know is I have a lot to learn from the people of India. And if I think that my ideas, my Western exposed, educated ideas can solve the plurality of India, I'm mistaken. I'm scared it may actually kill the essence of India. So I don't know. I mean,
so you're careful with
I'm very careful.
Recipes or recommendations?
I'm listening, I'm watching, I'm hearing.
Right.
I want to see what's going on there.
You trust in the dynamism of the whole of the India, so to speak.
I do, but I feel that the one problem that that India has suffered is a sense of dignity and self. The image of India has always depended on the West. You know, even our importance to global economy was based on how productive we'd be as a back-end office to America.
Right.
I really think we need to just look inwards a little. And I feel my generation, the youth of India, are looking in that direction. The bubble of America has sort of burst. And so there is this, now we're looking inside India to try and find that happiness, that satisfaction, that dignity.
And it can be very powerful with 1.5 billion people or more.
That's why I think there's going to be a change. There is a change, I see it. The youth of India are proudly speaking Hindi, Kannada, Tamil. They're watching their movies. It's not the kind of nationalism that comes from insecurity, but it's a sort of a they're digging. I think as westernized as they're getting superficially, they're getting more and more Indianized deep down. I'm not worried. I'm not one to stop anything that's happening.
Okay. Thank you very much.